everyone, I'm Melanie. Welcome back to my channel. Today we will be doing the first episode of my new series called Novel Sounds. This series will feature books and music, two of my favorite passions. I will be recommending books based on the vibe of the artists I choose, or books that I think they might like themselves, or books that I think that people who like these artists and the type of music that they make would enjoy as well. These books will include books that I've read myself, and then books that are also on my TBR that I haven't read yet, but definitely want to get to. So bear with me with some of the summaries, because I have read some of these, but I also haven't read some of these, so I might be reading off some back covers. I believe this series will definitely evolve as I go through them. Each video might be slightly different, but I'm excited to continue. Today's episode, we are focusing on Aurora. I have recently just gotten into a lot of her music. Of course, I know her from her Runaway days back when she first started, but her newest album, What Happened to the Heart, recently came out and I fell in love with that album. I think it has everything you could ever want in an album. Very Aurora herself. Each song is very unique and different. And I wanted to talk about some books that made me feel the way the album did. I can tell how passionate she is about what she does and the type of music she puts out, and I can see that in what she makes. To me, Aurora gives off a very ethereal, magical, dark, creepy, as well as she's a weird girl. You can tell if you watch any of her interviews, she's very funny, and I love the way she talks about things and her perspective on the world. She even refers to herself as a magical creature with secrets, and she's very inspired by nature. Aurora herself does read a lot. She's very big into fantasy, and she talks about that all the time. So you'll see a few fantasy in my recommendations, but I wanted to try to insert a few other genres as well that you may not think of when it comes to her, but the vibes of it feel very Aurora. She also said she's writing her own fantasy book, so I'd be very curious to see what that's like when it comes out. So if you're not familiar with Aurora and her music, I will link a few videos below in the description box, so you can feel free to pause here and take a look and then come back to the video when you're ready to get the full effect of this video. I'll also link an interview below because she's very funny in interviews and I think everyone would get a kick out of watching. We are also planning on seeing her on her tour in November, which we're very excited for. I think it'll be a great experience, and I've seen so many videos of her live, and she's just as good live as she is on studio, probably even better, so very excited for that. So if you're already familiar with Aurora and love her music, or you just were able to take a look at her videos, I'd like to get started. I may or may not give an overarching theme to each book as to a vibe and why I selected them, but I will start with the first book, which is A Certain Hunger by Chelsea G. Summers. This theme that I went for is dark desires. I feel like that suits Aurora very well. She likes to get a little creepy in her music, and I love that because I myself am a dark girly. A Certain Hunger follows Dorothy, who is a food writer who loves food just as much as she loves sex. We follow her journey through her life growing up, as well as becoming a food writer, her relationship with the food industry, her relationships with men, as well as leading up to the first time she ever kills a man on Fire Island, and things start to take a turn. I chose this book for Aurora because I feel like the type of person and character that Dorothy is, Aurora would be really intrigued by. Obviously, this book gets really dark sometimes, but it's also very sexy, very mysterious, very compelling writing about food and the industry. I think it would be a very interesting read. So if you like and can stomach some kind of dark, weird, check trigger warnings for this for sure, books. I know I call every book weird, but I like weird books and I can't think of other words to describe them. But this one is a very interesting, well-written piece. It is kind of written like a food article. I think the writer of this book was also very interested in food writing, so it reads a lot like that as well, and the way she adds in the dark elements is very seamless. The next book I chose is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairy. As you can imagine, because I view Aurora as kind of an ethereal, fairy nature person, I think that she would really get a kick out of this if she hasn't read it already. It's very fairy focused. It's about Emily Wilde, who is a professor at Cambridge who studies fairy, and she decides to build this encyclopedia of all of her knowledge of fairy, and she travels to a small island called Hrafnsvik to learn more about a specific group of fairy called the Hidden Ones, which there's not a lot of information out about there. She's later joined by her academic rival, Wendell Bramblebee, who starts making Emily suspicious and curious about who he actually is, whether he is who he says he is. He's a bit of an oddball, so they make a very unique pair in the search for information about the fairy realm. This is also kind of a grumpy sunshine, Emily being the grumpy, Bumblebee being the sunshine, happy, very friendly person. And I would say it's a very cozy fantasy vibes. It gets a little dark at some points, which is nice, but this book is definitely all about the vibes. This book moves kind of slow in the first 2/3, so if you're not into vibey, cozy fantasy, this might not be the book for you, but I think if you like Aurora's vibes, I think you would definitely enjoy this, as I think putting her music on in the background of reading this would definitely put you in the mindset for this book, so I hope you guys enjoy this one. The next book I chose is The Manning Tree Witches by A.K. Blakemore. This is a book that my boyfriend picked up. We were buying each other books we've never heard of before, but we thought we would like. And so I picked this up earlier this year, and I was very surprised with how much I liked this one. This is set in England in 1643, where puritanical fervor has taken over the nation. We follow Rebecca West, who is kind of outcast. She and her mom and the people she surrounds herself with are kind of the oddballs of the town, the weird girls. She's also unmarried and husbandless, so, in that time, that was a big red flag for a lot of people. Something must be weird with her. Then Matthew Hopkins comes to town and starts asking questions, learning about all the rumors of covens and witchcraft going on, and then he starts to kind of take investigation into his own hands to figure out what's really going on in this town. As you can imagine with the title, this is a very witchy book. I thought it was very beautifully written. I think this is A.K. Blakemore's first book. I actually just picked up her second book because I loved her writing. It's very lyrical, so warning about that, very prosy, lyrical, a little hard to read at sometimes, but it felt very of the time, like it was written in 1643, so Blakemore did a very good job there. And, witches, I think Aurora would really like witches. I feel like people who like Aurora's music are into the witchy vibe. This is a very interesting read, very character-driven, about the people in the town, the people that get involved in all of the witch trials and all of that. So it's a very unique read. It's pretty quick too, but this one, if you haven't heard of it, give it a try. The next book I chose is actually not a book. It is a short story that is only around 20 pages. It is The Yellow Wallpaper by Katherine Perkins Gilman. I picked this up recently. I've been meaning to pick it up and saw it was like 99 cents on the Kindle store. So I finally read it, and oh my god, was every recommendation correct. This definitely explores mental illness, which I think is a topic that Aurora and people who like Aurora would be really intrigued with. The way it's done in such a short amount of pages is masterful. It's written in the late 1800s about a woman in journal format who is slowly going insane while in a room with ugly yellow wallpaper. The wallpaper is used in a very unique way to showcase her descent into insanity, as you can say. I think it's a very unique piece of writing, and it's so quick that it hits you, and the ending can be interpreted in so many different ways. So I highly recommend if you're intrigued with anything like mental illness related, especially in that time period. It's a very interesting quick read. The next book I chose is Juniper and Thorn by Ava Reed. I would be surprised if she hasn't read this already. It seems right up her alley, but this theme is dark fairy tale. I think Aurora loves dark concepts as well as fairy tale concepts. She's very fairy and ethereal as well as dark, so like I said, I think she would enjoy this, and I think people who like her music would also enjoy it. This is very dark though, so I do recommend reading content warnings because there's a lot. You should read content warnings for all of the books that I'm saying. Just to be safe, of course, if that is something that you do regularly. This book is about a young woman named Marlin Chin who lives with her two sisters and abusive, paranoid father. The father is a wizard. They're kind of the last remaining wizard family. They're one of the only remaining magic user families in the city that is slowly turning from magic into industry. While locked up under their father's watchful eye, they occasionally escape and venture out into the city late at night while he's sleeping to enjoy the bustling city and nightlife around there, including the very popular theater where Marlinchen ends up running into and meeting a dancer. This book takes us on a wild ride, wild journey. It gets very dark and weird once again. I'm sorry. Sorry, not sorry. I call every book weird. Send me any other synonyms I should use in the comments, please. I need help. It does read like a dark fairy tale, like I said. It's set in a kind of Ukrainian, Russian-inspired world where there's a lot of race issues as well, which is a very interesting topic in this book. There's a lot of abuse in this, so again, check trigger warnings, please. But I fell in love with Ava Reed's writing. I like how dark it gets. I don't think everyone will like this, and it might be too dark for some people, and it gets pretty ridiculously nonsensical in some moments with where the plot goes. Yeah, you should just see it for yourself if you want to read it. And the last book that I would recommend for fans of Aurora is a book that I haven't read yet, but has been on my TBR for a while, and I mean to get to it. It is Nettle and Bone by T. Kingfisher. I have a lot of T. Kingfisher books on my TBR, and I still haven't read anything from her yet, so I really want to pick something up soon. And it might be Nettle and Bone, but I also just bought What Moves the Dead, which is even shorter, so I don't know what I'm going to start with. I have Thornhenge as well, which is the shortest of all of them. We'll see where I go. But back to Nettle and Bone. Because I haven't read this book yet, and I'm really awful at summarizing on the fly books that I haven't read yet, I will read to you what the back of this book says. After years of seeing her sisters suffer at the hands of an abusive prince, Mara, the shy convent-raised third-born daughter, has finally realized that no one is coming to their rescue. No one except for Mara herself. Seeking help from a powerful grave witch, Mara is offered the tools to kill a prince, if she can complete 3 impossible tasks. But, as is the way in tales of princes, witches, and daughters, the impossible is only the beginning. On her quest, Mara is joined by the Grave Witch, a reluctant fairy godmother, a strapping former knight, and a chicken possessed by a demon. Together, the 5 of them intend to be the hand that closes around the throat of the prince and frees Mara's family and their kingdom from its tyrannous ruler at last. So, if you tell me that Aurora wouldn't like a fairy godmother, a Grave Witch, a demon chicken, and a former knight pairing up for a quirky magical quest, I wouldn't believe you. So that is why I chose this book for this list, even though I haven't read it. I am excited to read it and see where this weird story goes with a weird cast of characters. There I go again with the weird. I'm sorry. If I had to choose a quest, I think I would like to join this gang of weird people. Oh my god, I keep saying weird. I will keep you posted on what I think about this book once I finally get to it, but I expect to like it, which is why it's on this list. And that wraps up what books that I think fit the vibe of Aurora, the type of music she makes, the type of person she is. I hope if you're a fan, you like these recommendations, and if you're not, please check out her music, because she is a very talented musician and artist and makes beautiful things. And she's a cute human who's also weird like the rest of us, and she is very fun to watch on interviews. So enjoy. So I hope you either learned something new about music or learned about some new books that you'd never heard of before or haven't thought to read. And I hope you have a good rest of your day. Thank you for watching. Bye.